Item 10B, adopt a resolution accepting the city's comprehensive annual financial report, CAFR, Single Audit Measure A Funds Audit Report and Transportation Development Act compliance for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2012.
Thank you, and good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, the city's audited financial statements for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2012 are presented for your review and approval. This includes the consolidated annual financial report, the audit of Measure A funds, the Transportation Development Act compliance, as well as the single audit of federal awards. We are currently in the second year of a 3-year contract with the audit firm of Avernick, Trine & Day. Tonight we have Ahmad Garaba, our audit partner on our account, to provide an overview of the audit results to the City Council.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Ahmad Garaba. I am the partner in charge of the audit of the City of San Bruno. And you see a bunch of reports over here related to the city's CAFR, single audit, and so on and so forth. And I'm presenting to you, the main report that you see over here is the comprehensive annual financial report with an opinion on the financial statements included within the comprehensive annual financial report. Alongside with it, you're going to see a Measure A, which is also a report that is derived from the financial statements as well. So all these supplemental reports that you see in your package over here were all derived from that thick, big report that you see in here, which is the comprehensive annual financial report. Over and above, the city is subjected to an audit requirements related to federal funding. They have very strict rules as to what they need to adhere to when they receive federal funds and how they're supposed to spend those funds. Alongside with that, you'll see, because you're a government, we are required to look at the internal control. We are required to report to you whether we noted any deficiencies in internal control or material non-compliance with the laws and regulations. And over and above that, there's a requirement because the city is a recipient of the Transportation Development Act. It's a grant that you receive, I believe, from the MTC. They require us to go in and to do an audit on that particular funding source that the city received. But again, the main report that you see is that this big report, which is the comprehensive annual financial report. It shows the financial health of the city. It shows what they have in assets, what they have in liabilities. And these are the same financial information that you receive from the city in prior meetings. What we do is we go back in and we make sure that whatever financial information that is included in the general ledger or included in these financial statements that has been previously presented to you are fairly stated in all material respects. So we go out, we confirm the balances, we confirm cash, we confirm receivables, we vouch all these account balances to what we call an external evidence, making sure that whatever has been previously presented to you and also presented to you in this report is fairly stated in all material respect. We are required by our Board of Accountancy to issue a financial opinion or an audit opinion, and it ranges from a clean opinion to an adverse opinion, and we issued a clean opinion on the financial statements. And the same is applicable as it relates to these supplemental reports. Again, they are derived from that main report. Over and above, you see a federal compliance audit report. I don't want to make this too long, but again, they have very strict requirements as to what the city and how the city is supposed to expend those funds. There's requirements that are related to Davis-Bacon Act, paying prevailing wage, procurement requirements, and so on and so forth. We go in and we make sure that the city did adhere to those compliance requirements, and we report to you whether we had a clean opinion or not, and the city did receive a clean opinion on federal compliance. The way that we do the audit, again, as I mentioned before, we verify the account balances by vouching them to external evidence. Because you're a government, you're subjected to what we call government auditing standards. We are required to look at the internal control and look at and report to you whether we noted any non-compliance with the laws and regulations. And with the fact that we look at the internal control, we like to see segregation of functions and duties. We like to see people holding the assets are different than the people that keep in record of the assets. We look at the design and implementation of these internal controls. Specifically, we look at your cash receipts, we look at your cash disbursements, and we look at your HR function, we look at your accounts payable function, we look at your payroll function, and we like to see those functions properly segregated, and the internal control over these functions is properly designed and implemented. And we noted no deficiencies or findings related to those items. The city issues what we call a comprehensive annual financial report, which is one step ahead of a basic financial statements, and is submitted to an association called Government Finance Officer Association. And they review these financial statements to ensure that they are in compliance with government accounting standards. And the city did receive the award and has been receiving it for the past 2 or 3 years. Because you're a government, we are required to tell you whether we had any deficiencies in the internal control, and we noted no deficiencies in the internal control. We are also required to let you know if we adjusted the financial statements from what they have been initially presented to you, and we had no adjustments to the financial statements. And we encountered no difficulties in the performance of the audit. In fact, management has been one step forward in making sure that we get all the financial information that we needed from them. Significant accounting transactions, as you all know, it's the dissolution of the city of San Bruno. You see a brand new fund in here. It's a trust fund because you've been entrusted with the assets and the liabilities related to the redevelopment agency. We moved all the cash and all the other assets related to those redevelopment agencies from the city funds, and the city created another trust fund on the financial statements that had or accumulated all these assets that are to be either liquidated or dispersed back to the county of San Mateo. Significant accounting pronouncements are coming out. One is impacting everybody related to pension. It's a reporting requirement and a recording requirement, and it's not a funding requirement. You are a participant of pension with CalPERS, and CalPERS has this gigantic pension liability for every participant in it. And they calculate this pension liability and amortize it over a 30-year period. And they tell you what your contribution requirements every single year based on that amortization. Now the new accounting standard is requiring you to record that liability on the financial statements, and that's going to impact you sometime in 2016 fiscal year. There's a similar one coming out related to health benefits and what they call other post-employment benefits. It's not yet a standard, so it's not yet required to be implemented in any given year. It's in a draft format. They're expecting some comments from the community about it, and we expect that this will be a full statement that will come out sometime soon. And again, I want to thank management, and I want to thank the city for making sure that we receive everything that we needed. We were actually able to get this thing done on time and submit it to GFOA on time. And with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions of our audit partner?
Through the chair.
Rico?
Maybe it's to you, sir, or to staff. But I wanted to bring up, we had within the report of the OPEB, we have page 73, 74 is what I'm looking at in the large book. And on 74, we have a accrued liability of $46 million, where I know it's only done every 2 years, and so 2 years ago it was at $41 million, so it's a $5 million increase. My understanding is this is a report that was required to begin in 2010, and I know for us it's a little more unique. It's complex because we're giving the money, and there's other complexities because we're going to the Teamsters in order, and it's not a direct. But what I wonder is, from 2 years from now, when it's revisited, is there going to be an additional $5 million increase to this? So this grows, and so it is a liability that is outstanding. It grows continuously. And I know it's a bigger conversation that needs to have in regards to health and welfare. But I'm wondering, in your travels, do you see this type of scenario in other cities, and is at this kind of amount that you see here?
Yes, and again, one of the items that I mentioned is an exposure draft about recording other post-employment benefits alongside with pension. And in the industry, just about to any other governmental agency, everybody is talking about that discount rate because this is a future liability. And that number that you see on the financial statements is today's dollar amount, or the June 30, 2012 dollar amount. And the new standards that are coming out is restricting the manner that you estimate that discount rate in order for you to calculate that amount. So we see that fluctuating quite a bit. And what we've seen in the past 2 or 3 years is everybody was thinking, hey, investments have been making about 7% throughout the past 30 or 40 years. But if you look at the past 4 or 5 years, investment rate of return on many of these investments have gone down to 1%, 2%, and 3%. So many of the actuarials are going back and saying, maybe this 7% discount rate that we've been using has been too high, and they are pumping it up by about 1% to properly calculate that amount. Again, these are estimates, and these are just future benefits that we're going to be paying. And what we're doing here is recording the estimated present value of those future benefits. With the new GASB coming out, with the new standard coming out, it's even restricting these investment discount rates even furthermore. But with the city of San Bruno and with what we've noticed as to what the actuarial had used in terms of discount rates, it's probably going to line up. Most probably it will line up with what the new standards are saying. So the city is using a conservative discount rate for those liabilities. The reason that you have a significant revision is, again, a lot of these actuaries are estimating these liabilities. They're saying, oh, well, maybe 7% was too high. I think it's 7.75% right now. And a lot of them are going back and revisiting that discount rate, causing that liability to go up.
Thank you.
Now, this liability right now, the $40 million, or what is it, $46 million, is not recorded on the financial statements. It's disclosed. So you went to the right page as to where it's disclosed. But what we're doing is we're amortizing that liability over the 30-year period, and we're funding that amortization every single year. If we underfunded it, then we record the liability, which is typically not the case. Now, when the new standard comes out, we're going to have to put this on the balance sheet of the city of San Bruno. But that's applicable to all government nationwide, and that's what's going to happen with the new standard when it comes out.
I appreciate that detail, and I think that's something that we need to be conscientious and concerned about. That's coming up in 215. Costs for health and welfare for both current and retired employees has a lot of variables because of the unique situation we're in, and I think that's something we need to keep our eye on as this gets closer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Any questions of our auditor partners or staff? All right. Just before we introduce the resolution, just want to say thank you very much to Kim and her staff. Great job. Great job. They are asking for adoption of a resolution. Would someone like to introduce that?
I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Vice Mayor O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.